Software Underbelly is about truth-telling. It's about creating a space for stories on society's most marginalized that venture beyond our own biases, which is why Ground News is the perfect sponsor for my channel. In a world where sensational headlines flood our feeds, some of the most important stories get overshadowed. Ground News highlights local news from around the world, which gives an on-the-ground perspective that might be missing from national coverage. The app and website empowers you to form your own opinions by serving you every article published on any news story worldwide, plus data about its credibility and where it may fall on the political spectrum. I particularly like their blind spot feed, dedicated to showing news stories that are underrepresented in the mainstream media. Their election coverage was a great example of that. It's easy to forget how much bias can shape the reality we live in. And in a world where our attention is constantly being fought over, my Vantage plan easily helps me keep up with the more important stories slipping through the cracks. So I encourage you to check them out at ground.news/SWU. Right now they're offering 50% off their Vantage plan as a limited time offer. Their platform is also subscriber funded, meaning that when you subscribe through my link or even gift it to someone you know, you're helping to hold the media accountable and you're helping my channel. Thank you very much. How old are you?
33.
33. When did you start playing around with steroids and all the other things?
So I got into it, I want to say around 30 years old. And it started with, there's these pills that act like steroids. And somebody gave them to me, actually, and I started taking them. And I was getting really big and really strong. And I started having side effects. And so I realized it was the pills that I was taking. So I ended up deciding, let me just take the real thing instead of just taking the pills. And that just led into so many other things, so that.
Do you think they're addictive?
Oh, yeah, for sure. And not in the way that the pills or the steroids make you addicted. It's you see yourself growing so fast and you see the changes. You're like, you know what? What happens if I take a little bit more? And then a little bit more becomes you taking everything under the sun,
Because you're young to be taking so much of this stuff.
Yeah. And for me, I actually tapered it down because, like I said, I started having side effects and it became really unhealthy. The biggest thing that I started experiencing was I wasn't able to breathe. No matter what I did, I was out of breath, just walking up the stairs, going downstairs, just doing normal stuff. I was getting out of breath and my heart just started beating really hard and beating off rhythm. And I told myself, you know what? I'm going to bring everything down and start focusing more on my health, not the look or I need to be doing it for this reason or that reason. So now I'm focused more on doing cardio and taking care of myself because I'm seeing people all over the place just, pass away, side effects, or they take more and more and then get into harder drugs. And it's an epidemic. There's a lot of kids getting into it now. There's a lot of deaths. There's a lot of people taking stuff on the black market. There's a huge black market for it. And it's one of those things where if you know, you know, and the better your physique gets, more people start coming around and, hey, have you tried this? I can get it for you. And then, yeah, it's crazy.
We were just talking off camera before we started that a lot of guys will start bodybuilding to get women.
Yeah. Yeah.
But in reality, it's very different, isn't it?
Yeah, it's much different.
Women could care less.
They can care less, so it kind of depends. The way I explain it is women will care about your physique if you have the face and if you have the other components that make you attractive. But if you're just a normal guy and you're just trying to get big, they don't really care about your physique, So it's depends on the person. So in my case, I never really had a problem with women, and I'm doing it just to get size. Just I was always a small kid. I just wanted to get bigger. And so for me, when I started taking and I saw the changes, then it was night and day. And you start to see how shady people can be. Women, when you're in good shape and you're a good-looking person, women definitely start treating you much different. And they'll do stuff such as, like, let's say if you're at the gym by yourself. This has happened to me a couple times. I'll be at the gym by myself, and I'll see a girl with her boyfriend, and they'll be doing their thing, and I keep seeing her. She'll look, and then she'll turn away. And I'll go to the gym again, and I'll see her by herself. But when she's by herself, magically she's in the same area as I am, and she'll start coming up and, hey, are you a coach? Oh, can I get training? Can I get your Instagram? And stuff starts to escalate from there. So for 99% of the guys, having muscles, it won't really help you. But if you're that 1%, if you have like the face, and I think I'm a decent looking guy, I'm not like a top model or anything like that. But in my case, it definitely helped. So it kind of depends on who you are, but yeah, it's.
I think the gay crowd is probably more.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, for sure. That was a realization I had before I got in, because I just wanted to get bigger, and gay men love muscles. They really do. And when you're a dude and you get into shape, you'll go into the locker room. There's this meme in the community where a lot of men, they'll just be naked in the locker room, and then a lot of them will come up and talk to you. There are guys who come up and talk to me. They'll like open their legs with their stuff out and trying to have a conversation. I'm just like, no, not me. Like, it definitely exposes a lot of people. So men are the biggest group of people that will appreciate your physique. Women, the only women that really like it are women who bodybuild. And that's it. So I tell a lot of guys, do it because you want to get in shape, not because you want women or you want fame or status or anything like that. There's a lot of dudes do that, and then they start taking the steroids because they want to get bigger, and they ended up having this weird, vicious cycle of they become obsessive with it. And it's really bad. It's really unhealthy. A lot of dudes in the community, they die or they end up getting a lot of side effects from it. And that happened to me myself too. When I was taking a lot, couldn't breathe, I was getting acne, I was getting really aggressive and really not violent, but having a lot of violent thoughts. And I'm a really calm person. And I dislike violence. I do not like violence, but I was having these dreams of killing people and getting killed, and all of a sudden I'm watching a lot of like street fighting on YouTube and all of these things. It's really strange how taking that stuff will not only change you physically, but mentally. And it's crazy, all the stuff.
Other than those pills, what did you start with? Just straight testosterone?
Yeah, so I started with straight testosterone because when I took the pills, I didn't know at the time that they suppressed your testosterone. So despite me getting bigger and stronger, I started, like I said, having side effects. And so I went and got my levels checked, and they were in the trash. So I went to a clinic, I got my blood work done, and I started with testosterone. So I started with 100 milligrams, and that alone completely changed my physique. And then kind of the same thing, what typically happens to people is you do that, and then it becomes, what happens if I take 100 milligrams more? And then—
You're talking about per week?
Exactly, yep. And then I went from 100 to 200, upwards to, I think the most I've taken ever was 400. And everything changed overnight. It happens so quick, and it becomes addictive because you go to the gym and everybody's looking at you. You know, you feel powerful. You feel the energy. It can get addictive really quick, and a lot of people, they see and they're like, you know what, my body can handle this much. I can probably take another 50 milligrams, and then before you know it, they're dead. It happens a lot in the fitness community where people, they just add more and more and more until they either go to hospital and have a surgery or they just outright die.
And some of these drugs are a lot more hardcore than just testosterone.
Yeah. So the craziest thing I took was testosterone, and I took Trenbolone. And I was hearing all sorts of crazy things about Tren. It's going to make you super big. You're going to be super shredded, like the best physique. And so I took it, and oh my gosh, literally, within a week, my strength skyrocketed. My physique changed to the point where I couldn't even walk outside without someone stopping me and asking me, how do I get like you? And then I'll never forget it. I had one kid come up and tell his dad, that guy looks like a superhero. I want to look just like him. And then as soon as I heard that, my motivation shot up, and I'm like, you know what, let's do more. And that was the worst thing I could have did. I was going off on people, road rage. My entire life just became, how do I get bigger? How do I get stronger? I don't care about anything else. I stopped caring about work. I stopped caring about friends. All I could think about was getting bigger and stronger, but you don't see how that affects everybody around you. I was just going off. My patience was this thin. All you could think about is food, gym, sex. It's crazy. And after I got off, I told myself never again, because it got to a point where if I would have stayed on it, something would have happened. Thankfully, I have good people around me, and they were trying to tell me, you know, we can see the changes. Yeah, your body looks good, but we don't want anything to happen to you. And it's weird because I remember just going out and looking for fights, and some guy would look at me, and in my head, I'm like, man, this guy's looking at me wrong. I could mess him up right now. The whole time the dude he just happened to look, he's appreciating me. Like, you know, he likes what he sees. And I'm thinking it's something else. I'm thinking, you know, he's wants to fight me in his mind or something. It's really strange, you know, and that's a very popular steroid that a lot of teenagers specifically right now are getting in. And it's so easy to get. You used to be able to, you would have to go and...
You're talking about Tren.
Yeah. You used to only get it unless you were competing or you knew like a doctor or something. But nowadays you can go online, type it in, order it with Bitcoin or whatever, and it'll ship to your house. It's really crazy how many people are on it. Even the women are on it. And that's one thing a lot of people don't know is women take steroids too. They prefer the pills, but everybody's on something nowadays. And nobody wants to be honest because in their mind, they would rather protect their image and claim that they're not on something to be more impressive. They'd rather be a liar.
The women are taking things more like Anavar, right?
Yeah, Anavar, a little bit of test. Some of them are taking Tren, and normally you go to the gym, you can tell, you know, when women work out, even if they're working out really hard, they still have a feminine frame. You know, they still have their assets, for lack of a better term. But the ones that take stuff, they look like me, you know, and then they'll go around and say, no, I'm not taking anything. It's like, come on, yes, you are, you know.
So there's plenty of these things available on the black market?
Yeah, oh yeah. Not even you can get them a lot of places online. And if you go to a gym, no matter who you are, you can ask around, and 9 times out of 10, you can find someone who has some on hand. And that's actually how I got on it, was basically on my YouTube. I went to the gym on mushrooms. I know it sounds silly, but it was like a fun little video. And what I didn't realize is everybody in the city saw it. And so the next day I went to the gym, this guy approaches me. He's like, hey, man, I saw your video on YouTube. I thought it was really interesting. Are you taking anything? And I'm like, no, I haven't really considered it, you know, because I always did it for fun. And then he's like, here, I got you. And that's where he gave me the bottle. He just gave it to me for free. He's like, you have a good physique. I think that you can benefit from this. And when I started taking it, that's basically what started everything. And I would say probably 99% of people in the gyms you go to are on something. And it's sad to see, but no one wants to be honest about it. You know?
You think 90%?
Yeah. Nowadays, the gym isn't about being healthy and getting in shape anymore. It's about attention. Can I monetize me being in here? And I just want to get as big and strong as possible. I don't care what happens. So everybody's taking something. And a lot of people lie about it. You know, you'll go online and see people say, I'm natural, and then they look like me. It's like, there's no way. There's no way. And
you would probably look great without any.
Yeah, that's the
steroids,
thing.
right?
Yeah, I always had a pretty good physique. I was always athletic. My parents were always very supportive of everything that I did. You know, my upbringing was fine, but in my 20s, that's where I really started being more self-conscious because I was always small. And what didn't help is I was partying a lot back then. And I was taking a lot of recreational drugs, specifically ecstasy. And I was always really thin because of it. And I'll never forget it. I had this ex-girlfriend who, funnily enough, she modeled, and she was thin, but I was thinner than her. And every time we went to shoot, they would always point and be like, is that your boyfriend? He's so small, you know, he should be modeling. He's skin and bones. And the trigger was, aside from them saying it, one time we went to a restaurant and there's this guy looked like a bodybuilder, and I'll never forget the look. She looked at him, and there's a difference between looking at somebody and looking at them. She looked him up and down, and as soon as I saw that, that's what started everything. I'm like, no, I'm going to the gym. It did something to me. I'm like, the way she looked, she never looked at me like that, but she's looking at him like that. I have to change something. And then I started natural for a while. I put on size pretty quickly, and I got strong pretty quickly. So by a couple of years in, you know, I had a good physique. And then that's where, after I did that video, that's where I got approached because everybody in the city saw it. I didn't think much of it because I was just uploading stuff to my YouTube just for fun and showing people the routine. And then coincidentally, somehow everybody saw it, and then I got approached with those pills, and that's what started everything. If I can go back and do it over, I definitely would do it differently because I do think you should do it as natural as possible. And it sucks because there's things you don't consider. So for me, at the point I'm at, I always have to be taking it. But if I come off of it, I'm going to lose a lot of my size.
Have you ever stopped?
I did. And I'm telling you, it was crazy. As soon as I stopped, I got much smaller. My energy plummeted. My sex drive plummeted. I felt really inadequate. Like, just everything changed. My mentality was awful. It's weird how you don't notice how you feel until you start taking it. And then when you come off of it, you're like, oh my gosh, I can't believe I was living like this for so long. So yeah, I came off of it for about a month and a half, and that's when I was like, I'm stuck. I have to take it. You know, of course you can always bounce back, but it's
if you'd
tough.
given it more time, you may have recovered.
Yeah. You can always recover, I think, because I'm on a low dose now. If I were to come off of it, I could recover. But for some of the guys that's taking, you know, grams of it, yeah, you can't come back from that. But for me, I definitely think I could. But it's tough because it's addicting, you know, and
You'd lose those boulders for shoulders.
Yeah. And people like to lie and say, no, it's not a drug. It definitely is a drug. It's just as addictive as anything else because once you take it and see the results, you want more. And wow, I got here. I want the next step. You know, so I always try to tell people now, focus on health and longevity. Only take it if you need it, if you are genuinely have like a problem with your thyroid or something, you know, because a lot of people take it and they don't actually need it. And in my case, I didn't need it. If I would have just came off of those pills and just let my body recover naturally, I would have been fine. But, you know, I kind of jumped the gun. I didn't know what I was doing. And yeah.
What kind of things are people taking on the black market?
So they're taking testosterone, Trenbolone. Those are the two most popular ones. Now there's Deca, which a lot of guys, they just want to put on size, they'll take Deca. Those are the three most popular ones, but there's other ones like Primobolan, EQ, Equipose, Anavar. There's the SARMs, the pills that you get that replicate different kinds of testosterone as well. And a lot of the pre-workouts now too, a lot of people don't realize that the pre-workouts are really strong, but there's a specific thing they put in called DMAA. And what it does is it gives you the euphoria as if you're on a drug. So people will take the pre-workout and they'll basically take it every day as if they're taking drugs, you know, and even drugs themselves. Literally 2 days ago, I was at the gym and people were snorting cocaine in the locker room. I've seen people pin themselves. You see literally everything, and people don't believe it until they get into the industry and they start seeing it. It's crazy. And then infidelity is also really high in the fitness community. There's everybody's a cheater in the fitness industry. You see everything there. You would think the gym is just for working out, and nowadays, absolutely not. Absolutely not. You'll see literally everything there. So
it's really about vanity, mostly.
Yeah. And there was a point where I was going to compete, and then I had that realization, like, I'm not working out for me anymore. I'm working out to try to appeal to other people. And the gym basically is a lot of vanity now. And in one sense, I understand, because when you go to the gym, you start seeing those results, you start nitpicking, and it's normal for everybody to want to be better looking and improve their appearance and everything. But it comes to a point where people just get so deep into it that they're just so focused on their body. I have to look good because I have to, get girls, or I have to, make my social media better, and I want to get money and become rich and famous. And there's a lot more to it than that. And I had that realization, so that's why I had stopped and kind of got back involved in more friends and family. And I'm only on testosterone now, and funnily enough, I feel the best I've ever felt now that I'm doing more cardio and my dose is really low. I feel mentally and physically the best. I don't have all that strain on my body. But a lot of people, they'll ignore those things. They don't care. They just want the attention. And women and men, it's on both sides. The women typically, they have it easier, and they do it because, social media, OnlyFans and stuff like that. So I get it with the women. They benefit a lot from it. But for the men,
women have different goals than men do.
Exactly.
Men want to have shoulders like yours.
Yeah.
Women are probably taking Ozempic and getting sick.
Yeah, that's another thing. Ozempic, that's really popular in there too. And the goals are completely different. So for the women, I definitely understand why they do it. But for the men, a lot of them, I just want girls, so I'm going to take drugs and get big. And it's like, no, that's definitely not going to happen. It's a strange community. It's a really strange community, because I got in just to put on size, and I'm finding out everybody's using drugs, like recreational drugs, steroids. There's just so much stuff going on. People are dying left and right. It's crazy.
What are some of the most extreme cases you've seen of people taking high doses or Tren or whatever?
Oh my gosh. So there was a dude who I talked to him a couple times, and he already was one of those guys that was really on edge. And he was like, yeah, man, I'm tired of being small. I just want to take as much as I can, fuck bitches and intimidate people. And that's the absolute worst type of person to give anything to. And the funny thing is, he already had a good physique. So he disappears. I don't see him in the gym for about, I think, 4 months. He comes back. Dude is like, he had to be like 250 and acting like crazy. he's super red. He's all really, really veiny. And when he walks in, I'm looking at him and he's grinding his teeth like really hard. And he's like breathing hard too. And just, he looks like he wants to do something to somebody, right? So I'm watching, I'm like, what the heck? Like he has to be on test trend because there's no way you look like that fast. And he genuinely looks like he's gonna hurt somebody. So I keep working out. Next thing I know, I see him grab a 45-pound plate and hit somebody in the head. I don't know what the exchange was, but he hit him in the head and the dude just starts pouring blood all over the gym floor. And he gets up and just runs out of the gym, just unprompted, just no warning. And I'm like, what the heck was that? That's one of the extreme cases because you can always tell somebody's on something because the level of aggression and violence tends to be one of the biggest things. There's that. I've seen guys in bathrooms load. The bathroom is the worst place to do this kind of stuff, but load up their steroids in the syringe and literally take their clothes off and pin each other in the bathroom like this much. Normally you want to take only a little bit. Guys are pinning this much. Let's go. And then chugging their energy drinks. I'm like, these are the type of people that do not need to be involved with it, and that's going to hurt themselves or get somebody else hurt. I've seen it all. I've experienced some weird stuff too. There was one girl on my social media. I won't say her name because she's pretty well known. Asked me if I could pee on her. Just really strange stuff. When people get on steroids, I don't know if they don't care about what they say or do anymore, but they just start doing weird stuff and they don't see it because they're like, oh, who cares? But other people see it and it's just like, why would you say or do that? So a lot of this is really unprompted stuff happening. So I'm telling you, they're crazy stories for days. Yeah, it's a really strange industry.
You have a job?
Yeah.
What do you do?
So I was in the plasma industry, and I'm going back to school to get my higher education. So I did medical for a while. So I always knew about it, but I didn't really find that there was a point until way later. And that is something that also was conflicting with my job too, because when you're bigger, people rely on you more. And so I'm getting more of the workload and things like that. But I like my job. I like my career. Medical has always been fascinating to me. And so that's what I do when I'm not involved with bodybuilding. Because a lot of people think, oh, are you a personal trainer? Are you this or you that? I'm like, no, I'm medical. So that's my day job. And then the gym is just something I like to do for fun. So yeah, next year will be going back to school.
Good for you. Good for you.
Thank you.
The steroids, which would screw with your sex drive, that has not been a problem, or there's other drugs for that.
Yeah. So a lot of the times, what people will do is it actually will mess with their sex drive. My sex drive was pretty normal, but when I started taking those pills, that was what was the most alarming to me because I noticed my sex drive just plummeted, and I'm like, wait a second. If I'm getting bigger and stronger, shouldn't my sex drive be going up? When I went to testosterone, though, it was, oh my God, it was the reverse. As soon as I got testosterone, all I could think about initially was just sex, food, gym. It definitely does something. So if you take the wrong stuff or your hormones are out of order, your sex drive will go down. But if you have it dialed in real well, your sex drive is going to go up dramatically. And that's actually part of the reason why there is a lot of infidelity in the gym community, because people take stuff and then they naturally get a lot hornier. And so there's a lot of cases of people cheating or people, famous bodybuilders having divorces because they take it and they just can't handle, being in the gym and they see this girl, she's wearing real tight clothing, especially on Tren. When I took Tren, it was a nightmare. That's all I could think about. And then with me and my girlfriend now, she loved it, but that was the only thing she loved about me being on it, because you can go from doing it, once or twice a day to doing it 4 to 5 times a day. And you would think you would get tired, but on Tren, you don't. Like, you could just go and go and go to the point where your significant other's like, no, stop, no more.
You're going to endorse it here.
Yeah. Yeah. Don't take Tren, you guys. I'm telling you, like, don't let that be a reason.
What are the downsides other than the anger?
You're sleeping, a lot of insomnia. When I took it, I was only getting maybe 3 hours of sleep a night. What else?
Ultimately, you just get too damn big.
Yeah, you get too big. Your body heats up a lot, so you're always sweating, and it makes you have this really weird smell. I don't know how to explain it, but people will definitely they definitely know. And
you
then
can always pick out the guys at the gym.
Exactly. Your skin will change. So a lot of guys take it, they start getting a lot more red. What else? The psychological effects. You just start thinking all this weird stuff, like a lot of death and violence. And it's something that's like universal. When guys take it, that always happens. And I'm like, you know what? I'm a calm, collected guy. It's not going to happen to me. But it definitely happened. I was getting nightmares every night. What else? Oh, it destroys your insides. So one big thing I tell people about bodybuilding is when you get into it, physically you may look okay, but your insides, they get destroyed. There's a lot of heart failure, liver failure, kidney failure. It's easy to tear your muscles because you're working out so hard. And a lot of bodybuilders die because of heart strain, or they don't go to the doctors and get checked up. It definitely happens a lot. So you have to be really, really careful with that kind of stuff, because people glorify all the big things, but there's so many bad things that come from it. And it's expensive. You'll spend hundreds of dollars on steroids, and the more you take, the more expensive it gets. So it just becomes a thing of, I'm spending all this money, I'm having all these side effects, I have to take the needle and pin myself, and that's not fun. People will lie to themselves and say, it's not that bad. No, it sucks, It makes you do a lot of bad decisions, like, going and getting tattoos. If I can go back, I'll get all the tattoos removed, because you start being really impulsive and just doing stuff, and it just becomes counterintuitive to your original goal. So the best thing you do is just stay away from it, because if you get too deep into it, you get locked in. Like me, it's either take tests forever or come off of it and lose everything I worked hard for. And that's what a lot of guys can't really cope with that.
It's going to be hard to look in the mirror after that.
Yeah, and it does get hard. Body dysmorphia is one of the biggest things in the fitness community. And I heard a quote one time, which is, the day you start working out is a day you're going to feel forever small. And when I first heard that, I didn't understand it. But as I got bigger and bigger, I started nitpicking more. And when I look in the mirror, I don't see what everybody says, because when I started, I was 120 pounds. I'm about 200 now. And I still see the 120-pound kid in the mirror.
Really?
But it's so weird. And I ask other people, do you feel that way? And they're like, I definitely feel that way. So that's why a lot of people who work out really hard, they start nitpicking, and I have to watch my calories. I have to do this. I have to do that, because it's this weird body dysmorphia everybody goes through. So it's hard to get off because of that, because as soon as people start seeing their progress go away, then they start looking back like, no, I have to get back on. And that happened to me in the testosterone. When I came off, within a month and a half, I dropped, I think, 10 pounds. And I was like, I can't do this. And there are little things that sucks too. So like with my girlfriend, she's beautiful, she's tall, she looks good. And part of the reason why we ended up together was the physique. You know, she saw that, she saw everybody in the gym talking to me and approached me. And I tell her, I'm like, you know, you like me for who I am now, but if I were to come off of it, you know, and get smaller, you aren't going to see me the same. And she was like, no, that's not true. Well, when I came off of it, she started saying, you look way thinner, you need to bulk up. And so I told her, I was like, see, you know, I could be honest and understand that part of it played into why you like me, but you know, it's normal, you know? So now I'm definitely stuck because our relationship's great. We haven't had any problems, anything like that. But if I get smaller, the attraction naturally is going to go down, you know? So little things like that, people don't consider. I never considered that until I was in the situation myself. And that's another variable, you know? Let's say you do get a girl that likes your body, but if you're on steroids and she doesn't know and you come off of it and you get smaller, she's going to be like, what the heck? What happened? You know? So there's a lot to consider in the gym and taking those kinds of things, you know? Like I said, it's a crazy industry to be in because everybody's on something. There's a lot of narcissism, a lot of vanity. Everyone's going to the gym because they just want to make money or get famous. And it's like, do it because you like it, you know? Yeah, it's crazy.
All right. Nico, thank you so much for sharing your story.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Thank you for having me
I
here.
wish you lots of luck out there.
I appreciate that. And remember, guys, don't do anything. Trust me. Stay natural.
Cool. Thank you, man.
Thank you.
Even though Soft White Underbelly consists of a lot of videos, it's really still a photography project to me. And if you appreciate the photography, sometimes it's difficult to enjoy it when it's scrolling down the screen, which is the only option I had in this horizontal format on YouTube. So last year we came out with the first Soft White Underbelly book, which is a collection of the best portraits from the thousands of interviews I've done. Each portrait in this book is accompanied by an interesting quote from the person's interview.
Oh my God.
There's more.
Wow. These aren't as bad as I thought. I look like a witch.
The book includes multi-page spreads of both Rebecca and the Whitaker family. I will not be reprinting this book when it sells out, so once it's gone for good. You can order yours at softwhiteunderbelly.org. $125, $150 for a signed copy. And thank you for watching.